Coming up, the 4 things every ham should have, handheld edition. That's all on the next episode of Ham Radio Q&A. Hi, I'm Michael, KB9VBR, your host for Ham Radio Q&A. I'm on a mission to inspire and educate the amateur radio community. If things like that interest you, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Also, check us out on Patreon. Patrons help keep the mission alive. That's over at patreon.com/KB9VBR Antennas. Well, today I got an array of handheld radios and accessories laid out in front of me, and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time and talk about some of the accessories or 4 things that you're going to find really helpful as you're starting out with your ham radio journey. And that's what we're going to talk about, is 4 things that really can help you overcome the limitations and have a lot more enjoyment if you're starting out with a handheld radio. Item number 1 is spare batteries. You know, when you buy a radio, it usually comes with 1 battery, and that's fine. But if you're ever going to use your handheld for an extended period of time, you'll know that the battery is going to drain quickly. And so a spare battery is extremely useful, especially if you're going to volunteer in public service events, provide emergency communications, things like that. So get yourself a spare battery. If you've got the ability to get a high capacity battery, get the high capacity battery. It's will help you out greatly when you're out and about in the field. Number 2, an accessory antenna. The antennas on these radios, they're okay. You know, presumably they're designed to operate with the radio, and that's all fine and dandy. But you're going to find after using them that you're going to get some limitations with the range, signal quality. And the best way to kind of fix that is by switching to an external antenna. And there's a few different types of accessory antennas that you can go with. A very common model is something like this extended size Nagoya antenna. It works very well with these handheld radios. Abri makes the folding tactical antenna. I did a test on this in a previous video, and I found actually its performance is quite good, and makes a nice little accessory. It's something that I'm not going to keep on my handheld all the time, but if I'm in situations where I might need a little bit of extra oomph or power, this is the thing you're going to want. Item number 3. You know, a lot of us like to carry our radios on our hip, and it's a great place, you know, if you're out and about, to put the radio, but it makes it a little bit harder to use. So consider getting something like a handheld microphone. Handheld microphones are invaluable. Number 1 is if you've got the radio down here, you can have your speaker up here, and you can better hear the conversations. Number 2, you can kind of optimize using the radio, you know, if you're in a difficult situation. So, you know, take the radio off your hip, you can hold it up like this and still use the handheld microphone while keeping the body of the radio away from your head. And that actually does a lot to kind of increase its range and performance by getting that antenna away from your head. And number 4, you know, we've been talking about you know, accessory microphones, accessory antennas, but sometimes to really increase the performance, you might want to connect your radio to an external antenna, and that would be this accessory right here, and that is a pigtail adapter. This particular one is designed for the inexpensive radios. It's got the little SMA female connector on one end that screws into the antenna port, and then you get that standard UHF or SO239 connector on the other side. With an adapter like this, you could put a MagMounted antenna on your car and use your handheld radio mobile. And that will greatly, with a MagMounted antenna outside the vehicle, that will greatly improve your signal quality and range. You could put an external antenna outside your home, and you could use your handheld radio connected to that. And using these little pigtail adapters would greatly help in increasing the range and performance of your handheld radio. Now, as a bonus, we've talked about these kind of accessories, and I also talked about an accessory antenna. And probably the best accessory antenna that you can get would be something like this. This is one of my 2-meter J-pole antennas. And a J-pole is an excellent antenna for your handheld radios. And the reason being is that this is a medium gain antenna. It's going to give you better performance than your antenna that's on the radio itself. You can mount this permanently outside your home. You can mount this temporarily if you're out in the field. And it's going to vastly improve both your reception and your transmittability. When I say medium gain antennas, you know, that's something like under, you know, in the neighborhood of 2 to 5 dB. And you really don't want to put a high gain antenna on a handheld radio. And the reason is that that extra gain, you know, is going to could possibly increase the signal strength. And if you've got a strong nearby signal, it's gonna overload the front end of your handheld radio, just overall distorting your signal. Medium gain antennas work very well in a wide variety of situations and will give you the coverage that will work best for short to medium range simplex work, and also being able to hit local and wide area repeaters. You can find this antenna online on my website at www.jpole-antenna.com. Well, there you have it. The 4 accessories that I find not only extremely helpful, but will also increase the performance of your handheld radio. Do you find you have any accessories that you find helpful? Why don't you leave those in the comments below? And if you got any questions, ask away. I usually filter through all the comments, answer the questions, and who knows, maybe your question will end up in our next Your Questions Answered live stream. But for more articles and information and VHF, UHF antennas for sale, check out my website, www.jpole-antenna.com. Your support of this channel drives the production of future videos. You can help me out. Like and subscribe. The algorithm loves it when you do that. And also, check us out on Patreon. Patrons help keep the mission alive. That's over at patreon.com/KB9VBR Antennas. Well, that's it for this time. I'm Michael, KB9VBR. Have a great day, and 73.